It is time to experience a different radio station in digital broadcasting. WKIT. Pyramid One World Radio Network with broadcaster Bob Charles. Our programming is based on truth, faith, and love. We have studios in Florida, Texas, and Australia. So let's begin into subjects that change our perceptions about the world around you and I.
Bob Charles was emailed a question from a listener, and here's what Bob sent back as an answer. And asked that the listener come to Pyramid One Radio to listen to Jamie Clark's additional additions to Bob's answer. Enjoy, and don't forget to dial into the show to speak to Jamie Clark during the show at 6 p.m. Eastern. Dial 609-663-0153. Can one soul have multiple lifetimes? Many spiritual and philosophical beliefs propose that a soul can have multiple lifetimes. This concept is often associated with reincarnation, the idea that after physical death, the soul is reborn into a new body to continue its journey, evolve, and learn. Key perspectives on the topic. 1. Hinduism and Buddhism. Both traditions embrace the concept of reincarnation, seeing life as a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The soul continues to reincarnate until it attains enlightenment or liberation. Karma plays a significant role, influencing the circumstances of future lifetimes based on actions in previous ones. 2. Western mysticism and spiritualism. Many Western spiritual teachings, like those from the Theosophical Society or New Age movements, also support reincarnation. They suggest that the soul undergoes multiple lifetimes to gain wisdom, grow spiritually, and fulfill its purpose. 3. Modern perspectives. Researchers like Dr. Brian Weiss have explored past life regression, where individuals under hypnosis recount experiences from what they believe to be past lives. This has fueled curiosity and belief in reincarnation. 4. The soul's purpose. Some believe the soul chooses specific lifetimes to experience certain lessons or challenges that align with its growth. For instance, A soul might return to resolve unfinished business, balance karma, or assist others. 5. Unity of the soul. While the soul may have multiple lifetimes, many spiritual traditions suggest the soul remains unified, carrying forward the essence of past experiences while evolving over time. What's your take? Do you lean toward believing in reincarnation, or do you think the soul has one journey per life? Let's put our hands together and welcome the host of A View of Humanity, Jamie Clark.
Oh boy. I mean, seriously. I mean, when you're thinking when you're talking about souls and things like that, nobody I've had people on my shows in all the years that I've been on the radio that were people who took you back, I hypnotized you and took you back to past lives, past life regression. And the more and more I really got into it and read about it and, find out all kinds of things about it, it's, you know, they say that there are parts of your brain that hold this information. It's like the information in Egypt with the information under the right paw of the Sphinx. It's one of those kind of things. Like it's in there somewhere. There's a mystery going on. And I'm sorry, I keep pushing against it because let's face it, and I've said it a billion times, our bodies are like the Energizer Bunny. The soul is the battery. Without the soul, the outer part, this natural organic piece of fertilizer for $5.75 is nothing but, I'm serious, is nothing but a tube that moves because something, it's not electric, it's spiritually electronic in a sense because it actually activates the things in our mind that are parts, every single part of us, from personality to the person that we are in different stages of our lives. Let's face it, when we're kids, we're kids. When we're teenagers, we're pains in the ass. When when we're like 20 to 30, we're really pains in the ass. And when we get over that, we start settling down and settling into what we've learned when we were pain in the asses. Now we are royalty to ourselves. We know what life is. We know what we're going to do. And even at that point, I still say we don't. I mean, let's face it. Yeah, I mean, you guys all know that I'm forget about. I'm 105. But the idea of the thing is, we are all part or particles of a whole, and all of these things that go on are all or anything that we see that's going on today is part of us. Every single one of us. We all made it. We are the whole. Jesus Christ happens to be the pinnacle part, the top of the heap, in a sense. And all of that education and all of that knowledge and all of that spiritual feelings that we don't even know. Many people don't even know what spiritual is. Yet they are spiritual people. Duh. Try to explain that to somebody. But and I did. I really did try. I tried. God,
Did they get it?
Yeah, they, after a while, they're like, well, they don't think about it. I mean, it's like people go to church. All right, why do you go? I said to somebody, why do you go to church? Well, because I'm close to the God. I said you could do that in the front seat of your car. He says, he says, he says, well, I said, where you're sitting. I said, where you're sitting. I said, you're sitting in a piece of heaven right now. What's going on around you? Are you happy? Are you, carefree at this point in that chair? He goes, yes. I said, then you're in heaven on earth. I said, it's a part of all of us that is the part that just relaxes and just lets the world, lets the earth, let the energies of the earth flow through us. And nobody I mean, if I didn't,
and then get some validation. Okay, maybe there's something to this spiritual stuff. Then we'll begin to find the flow of life experience.
bingo.
I always say, yeah, a lot of people, the life force. I'm like, what if it could be referred to as the life flow? Does it always have to be forced? To me, it doesn't. I'm lazy. What if it can just be allowed?
We don't ask for that to come in, and we don't look for it. It's here. Whether you notice it or not, that's up to you. And
exactly.
You use it, and you can use it.
And notice, you're not made to. You don't have to. You're able to. Hey, I'm here. I'm everything. It's all one. Here we go. You open it up for that? Okay. And I think that you're bringing up a very interesting point, which is there are a lot of people that are starting to find their own spiritual awareness, their own way of looking at life experience and kind of who we are as the eternal beings. Because, you get into the old souls and all that. And if I can share, as I always do, playfully, I say, one, cosmically, we are all the same age. Mm-hmm. Cosmically, we are all one. But to me, an old soul is somebody, in this case, who's been coming back to this particular planet a lot more than the average person, who seems to have like a knack or a connection for it. That's an old soul. And it's in that I find it very interesting, because there's a lot of beautiful work on past life regressions, but a lot of people only stay in this universe, in this dimension. To me, if we're eternal, and as I always say, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I believe that they found that humans are basically energy, vibrational light beings. And with that definition of being energy in quantum physics, they found that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. But then, as I say, wait a minute, that means in a very scientific methodology that we're eternal and we have always been, and yet they perceive this universe has only been here 14.8 billion years. It may not be from this universe. What if it's always one? What if it's just the way that we see it, that inner vision?
You ever notice how people will turn around and they will say, well, when we die, we meet up with the people on the other side? And I turned around to them and I said, the reason we meet them in your mind on the other side is because you believe that we're stepping into another place. We're going somewhere else. I said, where in actuality, you're there already. They're here with you. Dimensions are all one. There could be 7 of them, but they're all happening at the same time. So where are you standing? And they're like, huh? It's like, I mean, am I going too quantum on people? Or
no, that's beautiful. And sometimes we just need a different way of seeing things. Not always better or worse, but different. Sometimes from that different point of view. I've heard that crap 1,000 times, but click. That's the first time I kind of see it that way. And my thing is, oh, good, great. Question everything and let me know how it goes. And when they can be practical, when we put the spiritual stuff to the test in whatever way that they choose to, and then get their own end result firsthand, not secondhand, firsthand is solid, secondhand is lovely. That connection of firsthand experience to go, well, I may not understand it, I just experienced it. Yep. That is the point. And I think that a lot of us are starting to find ourselves within life and that life within us, and bring it to the surface of consciousness and beginning to live more so than just survive or exist life. And the good thing is, we give ourselves the gift of acceptance, of love, of happiness, of empowerment. To me, it's all one. I'm right there with you, Bob. And it's all happening now. It all exists now. All potential outcomes, all those experiences exist now, every kind. And it was really cool because for me, it's very interesting that with time travel and teleportation and all that kind of good stuff, my thing is there, to me, just to my awareness, that stuff is very real. When you can do that, because to me, there actually is no time. It's all the eternal moment, the eternal now type of thing. But people are starting to go in their own way quantum. They're not necessarily trying to make things happen. I just allowed it. I'm like, is that too easy? Good. Let it be too easy. Because a lot of people are used to putting the work in the front. I'm like, well, if you perceive it that way, certainly then that's fine. You'll approach it that way. However, for me, if it's all one already, all I have to do is just open up to the unification of connection, the oneness.
What I said to one person was, I said, I said, we may be here and we may be, standing where we are, where we're standing in a building right now. I said, but on the other hand, this building may not be here. We may be standing on sand. We may be looking at a tree. We may be 2 seconds from an alligator. I said, you don't know. I said, but it's all here. And not only can it happen, but it probably has happened already. So I said, the dimension that you're catching up to and or where you are has already come around. I said, you are just part of the loop of
But
things
see,
that happen.
yeah, that's the interesting thing for me is with the time travel and that is it's another time. It could be the same planet, but it's a whole different experience. The world's, as it is, it's being perceived. What about all the changes? Only because to me, the unification of one, it's all one. But in this, people are starting to go, well, I'm here, of course. I'm like, well, good. That's a good sign to at least recognize. And then where do we want to be? Because, for myself, when we're not made to, but we're allowed to have our own perception, whatever that is, that it works for us, and hopefully it does work. But it's also the ability to give ourselves permission to do the best we can with where we're at, what we're aware of, and I'm going to keep going.
All right, let me just interrupt you for 2 seconds. For some reason, we have to announce the fact that we're just now coming on because there must have been a network problem somewhere, somehow. And actually, the show was just starting. So,
isn't that interesting? And yet we're sitting here. We've been doing this the whole time while we've been here. Isn't it kind of funny? What a coincidence! And what we're talking about is happening.
Yes. Anybody that's now listening to us, we're now live.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? And thank you for that answer. I didn't even realize that. I'm like, oh wow.
I didn't either. I mean, you click on the thing and you believe that it's on, and then I looked at the thing and I said, ooh, it just turned off all by itself. So whatever happened. But the idea of the thing is that we are here live right now, and there'll be a little piece of the show somewhere. And the things that we talked about and that we're not going to go over again. However, this Skype is on and recorded the whole thing. So there's nothing to worry about. I'm going to get it out of here.
But the great thing is people in their own realities, they perceive it, are tuning in. And apparently, because I'm like, really? We weren't even on? Oh, holy cow. Well, guess what? But they're tapping in the right time, in the right way, in the right place to make that connection and being brought up to speed, so to speak, in this case, because it is being recorded. And even though this has already been happening, it wasn't even being picked up on the mass consciousness, at least at the moment, I believe, in a way that people were even able to listen to the show. But now they're kind of updating methodology, so to speak, to go, oh, okay, it's on. Well, I've been here. I'm ready for this timing frame. And in that, I think a lot of people are starting to open up to go, okay, maybe there's more to it than what I thought. And I'm like, great, because there is. And for me, as I always say, I know that the more I know, the more I know. I don't know nothing, man, but I'll share my perspective. And when we can be humble, when we can be empowered and self-realized to go, hey, I'm no better, I'm no worse, I'm just going to do me. But to give ourselves permission to live, not just exist and survive life. That is what tends to wear people down and break them as they perceive it. And it's in that connection that we start to reconnect our spiritual vibes with the physical vibes, because it's all one to me. It is all spiritual. But in this, it's what is our comfort level to attain this empowerment? What can we give ourselves permission to do, or if we perceive it not to do, to get to this point? Oh, yeah, we already are this point.
Here's the question for you, because somebody had asked me this, and I was like, one of them like, hey, yeah, exactly. And, I mean, the foot was down my throat and up to the knee and one of those things. But I turned around to them and after the question, and they said, well, does your soul tell you when it's time to go? And I said, wait a minute. I said, I can tell you a little bit, just a little bit. I said, I don't know whether the soul comes out and tells you anything, but I said, you'll know when it's time to go. So is that the soul tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, I want to get the coffee and the donut down the road? And like he's out of there, one of those things. Or does your body, your mind, and that turn around and say, I'm sorry, you didn't put enough in the meter.
Because I believe, and I call it a near life experience, because to me there's no death, so it's not a near death experience. But I've heard, I've not experienced it myself, but that there have been people who have had a near death experience who, when they get there, a loved one goes and it's not your time,
I
and
said that. I said that to you. My father said that.
Isn't that interesting? Someone else knows your soul print of life experience, and it's not your time, or it is your time.
Yeah, that was my dad. I met him nose to nose.
Wow, and it's happened. I'm aware of many more besides yourself, Bob, but
Yeah,
many more people that have had near-death experiences like that to go.
and
"Man,
exactly what he said. He turned around and he said, he says the children need you. That was it. It wasn't my time. So and then I woke up. I wake up like a month later, and I'm in a hospital. And it was like, whoa, it's like, with the time, you lose time and
There
everything.
is no time. That's the point, the eternal now. Yes. And that's what can sometimes freak people out. But Bob, because we've talked before, and for your dad to do that, as you know, is like, so he has an idea of what my soul growth is, what experience is to be attained each lifetime. Because to me, this is not the only life we've lived just on this planet. There are many other worlds, many other dimensions, many other experiences. And excuse me for just a minute. I think we got the sun coming up.
Don't worry.
I'm going to shut the curtain real quick here.
Whoa. Oh yeah. Though so many people that talk about this, and it was just only because I had been through it in a sense. But there is a part. There's got to be a part somewhere in, I don't know whether it's the pituitary gland or any of those things that save all this stuff. But when I did meet him, he had the same exact clothing on as when I had a cup of coffee with him the morning of his death.
Familiarity.
But I'm saying it's like stored up there somewhere, and you see what you want to see. However, there was something about him, around him, or something that was different. I mean, it was strange. It was like looking at somebody like through something, or through a frosty glass or something. It was kind of weird. But I mean, the uniform and his hat and his buttons on his hat, his union buttons on the thing, everything was there, and his voice was not changed, same voice.
To love, connection. Not only did it give you, because if he came through in a whole different way, you'd be like, oh, there's a lot of difference, or, who the frick are you kind of thing. And in this case, it goes apparently from one of the last memories that you had of him in his connection when you were, I believe you just said you were having coffee with him, and he had the hat and the clothes on. That was apparently more than just a few minutes ago.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Many lifetime experiences ago.
And the weirdest part, and I think I told you on another show, and that, but just so that everybody's listening, and that just so you know, I didn't want to go. It was. I'm telling you, it was a feeling, and I've said this on many shows too. Love is thrown at you. You're in it. It's circled at you. It's the goo that's around you. I mean, nobody knows. Like, there's got to be one time, sometime in everybody's life when you really, really feel 100,000% love. We all think we feel love, but love is something that constitutes every single facet of your body. Every. I mean, I don't care which part you want to talk about, but all of them, all at the same time and then thrown at you. That's love. I mean, and we all go through it once or twice our whole life. I mean, the total. Other than that, it's a piece of this and a piece of this and a piece of this and a piece of this. But to get it all together, all in one ball, that's rare.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, when you're there, that's the feeling all the time.
And you don't have to be anything or anyone different. And then it moves from the airy fairy of love to, oh, that stuff's freaking real.
Right.
And the powerful dynamic is just to me is the awareness of growth and different perspectives. Because I always share the fact that it's been said for many years that there's but one constant in the universe, and that is change. And Chi, my master guide, as I always share, is very patient and playful. He's like, well, Jamie, there could be other constants besides certainly change, which is of course a constant, but I believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that's a constant. Love is a constant. This is a conscious universe. So consciousness is constant. Your soul's evolution is constant. And there are natural laws that exist in this universe that are constant. I'm like, holy stuff.
But it's true.
Yeah, for most of my life, perceiving there's but one constant until it was shared to go, oh, God, that makes sense. Just for me, just for my own awareness. But it's great when we can question things, but get some kind of a solid outcome answer, whatever it might be, that gives us sometimes a different way, sometimes could be the catalyst of consciousness to get us to start to live life, not just exist and survive it.
Another thing that the soul has to do is it can affect things around you where nobody seems to get it through the head. Like, for instance, I'll give you a good one. I mean, this happened like a day or two ago. Someone that I work with in the morning turned around and she says to me, she says, Bob, she says, every single time he says, you're here and then we're working together. She says, I feel so good. And I says, are you putting something on me? So she turns around, she goes, no. She says, physically and mentally, she says, I just feel like, it's going to be a great day. But she says, if you're not here, then the other ones, that are in it and everything else, she said, it's just like it doesn't happen.
But look at what she's sharing with you, how much she values the presence of your energy and acknowledges that, not in an ego, like, oh, you're the best thing ever. It's like, well, no, you are.
Hold it. Let's back it up. How about hers? How about her energy? How about her energy that wants to give itself to someone and doesn't want to give it to somebody else?
And see the reaction and the interactions with it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Interaction and attraction and not, and not attraction. And it's crazy because, as I said to her, I says, maybe it was, I mean, really,
that's coming out of her mouth. She's the one, you didn't make her. She chose to share that with you. You're like, oh, well, and I'm playful like you, man. That's the point is, God, life can be very serious. It doesn't mean that it has to always be that way. It's like, no, okay, I understand that. But how about the ebb and flow of consciousness? How about the ability to accept ourselves the best that we can with wherever we're at, we're aware of, and keep going? Because a lot of people just need to know that someone else not only believes in them, but knows in them. And when you just have to be you, because I think you were just sharing that she was saying, well, when you're around, it just seems to be there and it's just kind of casual and it's cool. When you're not, so when you're not, she's open to other people's energies. We're all, as we perceive it, thinking thoughts. But in this case, she's opening up the door of consciousness for the connection with you to go, when you're around, I don't know, it's just weird, it's just there. But what if it's a little bit of that molecular structure of water that is affected by the thought patterns consciousness, basically? And that a lot of time, for me, that's what I always say, that's also what constitutes that personal magnetism when you first meet someone. It's either like, man, I just love you, or I want to get to know you. They don't have to say a word, yet you feel their energy. Some have a nice, good, clean energy. Others are like, how's it possible to have a dirty, greasy energy? Yeah, but that's the channel they're tuned into. So know what they're tuning into so that you can communicate and talk with them, not just to them. Because most of us are used to being talked to rather than talked with. And I think in a contributing factor, because not only are you a great host in this way of your own creation in this way, but you're able to share the music of the soul with people. That's just part of who you are.
It's people things that make things difficult for people is the fact that they don't share. It's something a lot of people now say, well, I'm not gonna, I don't want to talk about that. Well, why not? That's what I say anyway. I mean, you know me. I'm not. Oof, I'm definitely not a proud guy. I'll tell you one way or the other.
It's beautiful.
But it's like so many people that were down there one day. We got one message, but we got people that are there that you see them all the time. That they just got these faces. You don't see a face on a smile on anybody, and it's like three of them. One day that I'm there, and that there's three people in the morning. But it's me, three people, and then the assistant manager, and she's great. She's unbelievable. She does her thing, I do my thing, and everybody else now we have to beat up. But on the other hand, it's one of these things now where I turned around one day, and all three of them were kind of close to each other. So I'm in the middle of the place, and then I turned around and I said, "Everybody stop." So they're looking at me like I'm out of my mind, right? Which I could be a little bit, but when I said that, they said, "What?" I said, "Now, look at me. Everybody look at me." They said, "What are you going to do? Take off your clothes?" I said, "I wouldn't give you the bed." but anyway, I turned around and I said, now, when I count to three, everybody does exactly what I say in one word. So they're looking like, what the hell is this guy going to do? So I went, 1, 2, smile. And they're all looking around and everything else. I said, see? You're not listening. You said you were going to do what I told you, but you didn't. I said, now, smile. Then they started laughing, and everything. There was a smile going on. I said, you see that? Did your face break? Did anything fall out? I mean, did the world stop? I mean, did the pizza stop coming off the machine or something? Did the tomato sauce go to vinegar? I said, no, nothing happened. Nothing happened, except for I'll bet that every one of you three feel better than you did 15 seconds ago. So the guy turns around and he goes, well, yeah, a little looser, this and that. I said, okay, one more time. Smile! And I did that. And then they did. Yeah, but then they did. But the funny part about it was every single one of us, whether it's a soul, whether it's in our mind, whether it's any kind of an electronic impulse that we have in our brains and things, we are all followers in a sense, but we're all leaders. So when I turn around and I say the dimensions are all in one place and it's now, well, how can you be a follower and a leader at the same time? But that they understand. Not the dimension part, but the dimension part is explained very easily. If you take something, you make it solid so they can see it, feel it, et cetera, and then they say, oh, is that what you mean? Ta-da! So I got through to some of them, and in fact, one of the guys that has gone on YouTube, and he's pulled I don't know how many of my shows already. He said, "Man, what are you doing here?" So I mean, really, I mean, you got to get through people somehow.
Well, see, and the good thing is you're just doing you. When people can open up and listen, if this is the case, and hey, you're not making me. I'm choosing to accept what I perceive as my reality or what's right or wrong or however that's being perceived. And I'm giving myself permission to even open up to your way of communicating. You're like, oh, well, we're talking, I always playfully push buttons like that to go, hey, man, what I do, everyone has the ability to do. They just have to open up and make their own choice, whether to use it or not. Because I always say it's the gift that few choose and everyone has. As you know, I always say these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural. That's the point. It is first nature to the essence of our soul print, not second nature. And when it's just naturally who we are, and when we can meet people like you who are practical, you're very genuine and very nice. So it's not always what we want to hear, but you know what? Okay, maybe I just needed to hear it that way. That sometimes hearing something a little differently can give us a different vantage point, a different way of seeing things in that particular arena. Yeah. The good thing is you're playful. Hey, you know what? I know that I don't know nothing, but I'll share my perspective. I don't claim to know everything. I always say anyone claiming to know everything is ignorant to me. It's that connection to go, hey, people need to give themselves permission to be here and that you're not making me. My own life experience, in this case, through the work of what you were doing, the management and the other people that are right there in front of you, three different people I think you were sharing in this connection, you didn't make them. You just had that experience, that interaction with them at that moment where you were able to drop in sometimes a different way of seeing things. And they can go, oh, that's funny. That's cute. Yeah. Because when it's a laughter, it's a positive, more vibrant vibration of energy, which will allow ourselves to thrive on. The survival is not so easy because it can bring out the, I gotta like, okay, oh, I understand about. Great, just breathe. Let's breathe some new life into this. And through that to me, that the molecular structure, Dr. Masaru Emoto, those who know me know I'm into Dr. Masaru Emoto's work. I never met him. He graduated, died as we perceive it a number of years ago, but he was that scientist who wanted to see if the molecular structure of water holds thought patterns, thought within it. And each and every time he did these studies, he got the same results. And they, as I share, do your homework because they have pictures if you'll check it out. And basically what he did was he took two separate containers of water and he had one group send one container positive, loving, happy thoughts and froze it. The other container challenging, negative, bad thoughts and froze it. Each and every time he took those ice crystals out, sliced them up and put them in an electron microscope, he saw the molecular structure of the water that was set negative and challenging energy was gross and murky. And they have pictures. And then the ones that were set love and light are like snowflakes in a prism.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And I say playfully, but genuinely, I think there's a couple of things that are almost 70% water on this planet. That'd be the oceans and the human body.
Yeah.
Right? And the brain is almost 80%. So it becomes our vibrations, what we think about, that there are no registered negatives. If you're going to say something, you're vibing with that energy. Doesn't mean we say we're better than everyone, but if we can connect with ourselves and give ourselves permission to live, not just exist and survive, and without being too hypersensitive, but go, hey, I'm just doing me, but I know that my body doesn't register negative. So if I think diseasing thoughts, even if it's about other people, I'm the vibration that it's rolling through. So my body's going to feel that, or whatever the case is. And that tends to happen a lot. And then I share the fact that for myself as a psychic medium, and everyone has the ability, but all we are is just quantum road signs of potential life experience. If you take this direction, here's most likely the outcome. If you take that direction, here's most likely the outcome. Because all of those experiences on that quantum level are existing now. All outcomes are existing now.
Let me stop you right there for 2 seconds.
Yes, sir.
What you just said, if you go like this, you're going to be in that direction, you're going to be in this, you're going to be in that direction. Don't you, just to go into it a little bit further, every single person has their own decisions to make. They ask too many people to make the decision for them. However, how many actually do what the third party says? Not that many, because they already made up their mind. They just wanted to reassure the fact that they were making the right direction or the right decision.
Yep.
So,
and they give power to. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And it's funny, but it happens every day.
Yeah, a lot.
We all do it.
And
wait a minute, how many times have you ever said to somebody, what do you think? Look, should we do this or should we do that? There's your decision. Or what do you want for dinner? Ta-da. That's the biggest one right there. Or somebody turns around and says, are you going to take the dog out or am I going to take the dog out? They're all decisions. We make more decisions on the stupidest things I ever heard in my life, but we do. Like, for instance, are you going to dial this guy or the other guy and on your cell phone this afternoon? I don't know. It's like, yeah, they're all decisions that we make every single day, billions of them. And every single one of them have to do with our lives. Now, how much do we know that decisions are also decisions on our life? Not many. But we make them anyway.
Well, we're not dead yet.
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, it's funny. If I wasn't doing this on the radio for so long with so many different people and so many different things that we talked about and subjects and everything else. I wouldn't even know about those things. They'd be the furthest thing from my mind.
What has kept you in this arena, in this direction?
Only because see, when we do this, all right, I am also pulling information from you that's helping add, things to me. There are things that you had said in shows that I know that something happened 10 years ago that you might have said on a show. So then I have to go back, archive it 10 years back to make sure I'm not completely out of my mind. But these are things that are relative to everyday now. You haven't said anything that's not relative now or to now. In as long as I know you, I mean, it's a long time. They're all things that not only were they real, not only were they today, but they were helping things. That if people listen to just 1% of what we've said on these shows for the last 12 years?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm 16 and doing it. So yeah, it's about that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, about that. If people did 1% of what we've talked about on our shows, America, the world, would not be in the condition it is right now. It wouldn't. We send too many good things that were relative to now. Do you know what I mean? But be it a dimension, be it anything. I mean, things that like there's bad guys and there's good guys. There's lefties and there's conservatives. There's all. I'm serious. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it, there's always a white and a black. That's why the one that was in the middle, the gray one. Well, they just threw them out with the new administration. they're not. But I'm serious. There's either black or white, no matter how you want to look at it, no matter how you want to look at humanity or anything that happens to the humanity. And there are people that just don't listen to anyone, not even themselves. They wind up in jail.
Times, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I'm serious. I mean, it's the craziest thing. As I said, if you've been doing it as long as we've been doing it, you gain that insight or insights to what is actually going on, and you say, "Geez, I said that in a show a couple of weeks ago," or whatever, whatever it happens to be, or something, or it was proven because I had heard it somewhere. Doesn't matter where, but you heard it somewhere, and now it's relative. So it's like, duh.
But everything is in the now, and it's the ability to, whether it was many years ago as we perceive it or not, it's all happening now. It's all existing now. And to keep it updated, to keep it modernized in the way of how we perceive life or experience is very powerful, because a lot of us don't always want to see the little pieces of the puzzle to get the bigger picture. A lot of times we just want to be in our own little thing. There's a lot of pieces out there. I don't know what one to pick up. My thing is one, question everything and see if something fits together. If it feels good, then that's just one piece of the puzzle being put into place. Not the whole picture, just one piece that will give you the connection to the bigger vantage point of awareness type of thing. People are like, that's interesting.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the whole thing is we're in good shape. I mean, let's face it. There's people don't realize how really, really good shape they're really, really in. I mean, there's so many things. There's, as I said, there's negative energy and there's positive energy.
But sometimes it just needs to be shared.
Yeah, but just like anything else, like people say, and I can use this because this is relative to our conversation. You get 500 people in a church, and they're all praying. You know what kind of energy is in that church? Ouch. It's because they're all believing in the same thing at the same time. Now, if they walked outside the church and they did the same thing and they believed about the same things then as they did in the church, they would change the entire world overnight. How many people knew there was something going to happen or afterward when Twin Towers went down? People knew, felt it a day before anything happened. I wonder how that happened, huh? Talk about dimensions.
It was very interesting. You bring up a very interesting dynamic that many years ago, I used to work in hospitality, and I worked at a place many years ago called Marriott Camelback Inn. And then we had a foyer, a hallway, big hallway area, and there was a bunch of big pictures. Well, there was one of one of the upward needlepoint restaurants that were in a what I forgot, I pardon my ignorance, whatever they call that thing. That
Uh,
thing in my
the-
mind sight,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm looking at it, and in my mind sight, I see this plane run into the freaking thing, and I'm like, what the flag knob? What just happened? And then within a year later, that very similar circumstance of a jet, in this case, going into the buildings. That was huge. That just for me, I didn't understand what that meant until after that 9/11 experience happened to go, oh my God, maybe I was going interdimensional. Maybe I was starting to pick on things and pick up things in a way that I didn't know what was happening. I just experiencing and observing. That's all I could do. But it was just fascinating because it went for me looking at a still picture, still frame was a big picture, but then in my mind it was in action. This plane comes crashing in, and it never happened. I never heard anything about that happening. The needle, space needle, or whatever it's called.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and in this case, nobody pushed my buttons. That was just an experience that I tapped into. That was already playing. I just tuned in and now getting a chance to see there could have been a sharing of that information that I was picking up. I just didn't know where to apply it at the moment. Most people will receive information, but what am I supposed to do with it? They don't always know. And my thing is, like I always say, please question everything, be skeptical, just be open, be practical. And when they can do that and have questions or whatever it is that they're wanting to find out, and realize that, okay, maybe there could be a different way of seeing things than the old way that I'm used to. I'm like, well, that's a good thing. You never know.
You know what?
Just
You know what always gets me? It's that everybody does it every day. I'm
yeah,
serious. Everybody
it's
does something similar to it. I mean, there's nothing, not a plane hitting a building,
yeah.
but I mean, something similar to it every single day. And yet nobody will turn around and say, gee, I thought that was going to happen. And it did.
Well, see, and that was my thing because I didn't have anyone asking me questions, so it wasn't a target read. I'm like, I'm freaking, I didn't do anything. I'm just looking at this picture and it played out. And I was like, what the flag knob? But because I didn't say that to anyone else during that, but
Mhm.
afterward, because just everything is spiritual, it's all one to me. But it was in that connection to go, I didn't know that that was going to happen before, but had I had a target question,
Right.
that might have given me the direction, oh, this could play out if you go in this direction. I had none of that. I was just in my own day-to-day living like most of us are. And I just had that experience where I didn't know if that was already happened or what the frig just happened kind of thing. And so because I can still remember what I was shown in my mind sight, my mind's eye, to go, this is a freaking still picture. How, what, and why would it be a jet, in this case, a plane, that
Right.
runs into that? And then shortly, a little ways after that, a very similar circumstance, a plane, in this case, jet, did bring down those towers in a contributing factor.
Too bad it wasn't bad because, a plane also hit the Empire State Building. So, yeah,
Wow.
not lately. Years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Way years ago.
And the ability to
And
understand.
nothing happened to that building either.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that interesting? What if that was just an interdimensional reality play, so to speak? Hey, I didn't know that that was going to happen at that time. But in being able to kind of and I remember when I was turning on the TV and it was 9/11 in this case, and they had just recorded that there's this jet and it showed him plowing into one of the buildings. And I'm like, what the flag dog? But I've always remembered that type of a dynamic to go, kind of like when Elvis was said to have died in that case. I'm like, I remember myself standing at the kitchen doing the dishes when I heard that, and I'm like, what, huh?
And
But
you were there, and I was 4 miles away on a
isn't
hill,
it?
looking straight at the building.
I bet. Yeah, you were there
Look,
firsthand, man.
I was in Kearney, New Jersey, which is the highest point over there, right up the block from the Hudson River, and we could look straight at the building. So after the first one hit, everybody ran out to like I mean, the cars stopped on the street and everything because so many people were looking at this one street. The road went straight down, so you were on the top of the hill, no buildings around. You can see the twin towers like they're like in touch. You know, you can almost touch them. That's how close we were. And then the second plane hit the second building, and it was like, like people just screaming and crying and the whole 9 yards, and it was kind of crazy. Because, well, I mean, here we are looking at this. At the same time, Diane, who's here, the marketing director lady, okay, yeah, okay. That lady was on the other side of those buildings. Oh, by the way, I was supposed to also be in a meeting across the street from those two buildings.
What
That
happened?
the meeting was canceled. Yeah,
And
but
then we look back on those to go, oh, maybe there was something to that. Because otherwise, the average person's like, what a coincidence. How lucky. And I'm like, sure, coincidence, luck.
yeah,
It is.
I think we were meeting at the Deutsche Bank or something that was right across the street from the first building that was hit. I think it was right across the street. That's where their place was, and we met at this office building, and that's why we were where we were, looking at where the thing and that because it was canceled, and it turned out that the other guys that were with us were stuck because they were going to, I forget, somewhere. I think it was Japan. They were going to meet some people in there because we had a computer deal that was going on, and we were going to see the bank and all kinds of crazy things. But they were stuck in the airport because nobody could move, nobody could go anywhere. All the air traffic and everything else that was stopped. But
Isn't it crazy? But something that could be such a challenge was life saving to these people. Like, oh, until you're able to see it a little bit differently with the same experience.
let's go back to the souls for a second. How about the souls telling us what was going on? Why was a meeting stopped, just canceled?
It wasn't the only one. I've heard of other people who've had some semi-similar circumstances to go, it just happened that way. I'm like, right, what a coincidence. Really? What if it was the decision on the universe that you didn't have to play that?
I don't think it was any kind of a mistake or anything. I know my wife had called me up on the phone. At that time, we just had cell phones. Cell phones were brand new at that time. Called me up. She's crying her eyes out. Are you okay? Blah blah blah. Because I was supposed to be across the street from the place when the plane hit, and I wasn't there. I was still in New Jersey. And I said to her, I said, no, don't worry about it. I was like trying to talk her down. She says, no, you're lying. You're kidding me. Blah blah blah. I said, no. I'm here. I'm really, really here. And she was like, this was corny, and it was she was in Hackensack. She was a head nurse in a big hospital that's in Hackensack. So I mean, she was like 4 miles away the other way from where I was, and it was so funny. So I went to the hospital and everything else. I show you, look, I'm here. And it was weird. And now on the other hand, now, like I was saying about Diane was the one that was on the east side of Manhattan, and she saw all the people running down the street, gray, and they were giving them water and all kinds of things as they were coming down. So I mean, the two of us were in the same place at the same time. I mean, what had happened, the energy that came from that, the things that we know later. Not early. I mean, when it happened. But later on, you break these things down, and I think everybody listening right now should actually do this. Just listen to me, okay? You take everything that you've learned and break it down. See what it is. See what you feel like. See like, is this happened because? Where was I? Why was I there? Why should I have been there or should I have not been there? There are so many things that we can not change, but make ourselves better. because of what had happened.
Well, people need to try to find a meaning to what that experience means to them.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was weird. That was just one thing, but I'm telling you, man, the soul was definitely in that one all the way.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's just, as I always say, it's just the different ways of seeing things. Because a lot of people are like, man, I woke up this morning, great. And I'm like, that's beautiful. And they tend to become very challenged. And my thing is the gift. If I share the fact, as I've done before, if I were to put $1 million into your account by this evening, would that help out? Would that kind of lighten the load a little bit? And yeah, I'm like, okay, so if I were to put $15 million into your account by tomorrow afternoon, but if you accept that $15 million, you will not wake up again on this planet. Would you still want the money? Most of them are like, nope. I'm like, now do we see how priceless waking up each and every morning truly is? Giving ourselves the gift of life experience.
Mhm.
Just a lot of people don't know what's the dream state and what's the real. What if it's all one? And it's just different vantage points of awareness to me. You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
I feel like I'm at home. Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah. No, we had a.
I don't know. You see, the internet is going really, really crazy in that down here because they're building. I'll send you pictures. They look like the exact same buildings. I call them the FEMA, the FEMA buildings. They're all the same. They all look the same, in that they call them luxury apartments, but they're huge. There's one place that's, as I think I've spoken to you before, and anybody listening, and I could probably, put this together. These buildings hold like 1,200 people, like 1,200 apartments, something like that, and they're like popping up like all over the place and stuff. And when they do that, they put in all these internet lines and these things like, whoa, like this kind of cables, huge. And when they do that, they not disconnect, but redirect the internet. And when that happens, like everything, like things will change, like screens will change, things will go up and down. Like in the morning, we have over 1,000 millibits coming in here, and in the morning, that you might have 25. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, like even though as we're doing this show, I mean, there's 5 computers that are on all the time. That's what runs the show. I mean, the telephone is up, the chat boxes are up, the cell phones are up. That's texting.
But finding the avenues of communication. In this case, if they can't hear us, whatever. So it's those circumstances that technologically we need to have this channel, this tune, this internet type of connection, that type of a dynamic to make these connections. One, the ability is already there. It's just putting the right pieces in the right place at the right time to get the overall bigger picture of world events in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And when people realize, okay, so I'm not alone, and maybe there's someone else who kind of sees things the way I do. I'm like, well, it's always like that, but yeah. What if you give yourself permission? Exactly. What if you give yourself permission to feel the way that you do and realize, okay, how does that feel? If you like it, keep thinking those thoughts. If not, maybe change them.
You know what? I want to see though. Like we know what's going on in the world right now, and all over the world, and things for like 4 years were wishy-washy. You know what I mean? Like people kind of sort of they if they felt good, it was artificial good. Because I mean, I look at it this way: solid things have an ability to make people do things different. So if like for instance, if cars go to like $60,000 for a Volkswagen, it's like people are like, huh, huh, I used to pay $100. What is this? I mean, and things, all that kind of thing. Life itself, the things that happen around you, change you in a way. And I think people are getting lighter, in a sense. I don't know why. Maybe it's just they're like, whew, one of those kind of things. But it's happening. And I think this is the time that I think people are going to start opening up more, or having more questions about things. Like, for instance, like a person like you're going to be talking to a lot of people.
Yes. And giving themselves permission to ask questions. I'm like, freaking brilliant. If I don't understand anything, I'm going to ask questions. I at least get a reference of possibly a different way of seeing things than I was before, which is a great thing. That's why it takes a lot of guts to open up to this information, to go, that's, as you know, you and I share, to go question everything, be practical. But if you can get some pieces of the puzzle, that might be able to, if you choose, put those in place and create the bigger picture of the puzzle that we're living in. And it's in that case that we all are a piece of the puzzle. We are all truly one. There is no separation. And when people can start to realize that, okay, I'm not being made to, I'm in a way, I guess, being allowed to, I'm like, right, that's the point. Love, as I always share, is the craziest thing, because out of love will there be dynamics where either we make an action or a reaction to a circumstance. Like if our beautiful fur babies, our animals, are not doing well and they're ready to go, what will we do? Sometimes, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to put you to sleep. I don't want you to be in this pain anymore because I love you. That love and compassion outweighs the fear of releasing them. It's the comfort that we want to bring them. And in a cosmic way, to me, love is everything. It is everywhere, not made to, allowed to. That's why people like you and myself, for me, I can only share for myself, but man, when I've merged with a oneness and I feel that love, it is like the best mood you've ever been in, the best meal you have ever had. Truly, my soul feels full. And I'm like, as an eternal being, good, bad, happy, sad, however we perceive our realities, completely loved and accepted by the universe. And I'm like, oh, wow.
So tell me, what's going on in your life? What's going on? What can people grab you, see you, say you, or whatever?
Well, I am doing a lot of readings for people, and I'm up in Prescott Valley, Arizona now, up in northern Prescott area, and it's really great. And as I was sharing when we were tuning in, hopefully the others have seen it, but it was actually snowing. I lived down in Phoenix for most of my life, and you just get used to where you're at and the energy. Okay, and then I come up here looking for a place, and we found it, and go back down, and the same energy of traffic was like whoa.
Oh yeah.
Dang, you don't realize how, at least for me, how intensified things were. I was just so used to it. And then getting a chance to come up here, because I'm learning to lighten it up a little bit more relaxed, because there are some people, there's a lot of personal owned businesses that are in this area. And there's a number of them that are like, oh, we're out of that. I'll get it sometime in the near future. I'm like, isn't that business? Don't you want it, the product, this, whatever it is? Like, they're very casual and very relaxed. I'm like, God bless you. That's great. But I'm still learning to ease into that. Just let it be what it is.
Yeah, you
And
got the difference. You got the difference we did because we're from the New York, New Jersey area. I mean, I worked up myself in it for 22 years in New York.
I bet. And see, you get used to that energy vibe. You don't even realize there's a different energy until you get to experience it.
Yeah, we went from New York to South Carolina, and it was like, kind of sort of, it's Charleston we were in. So Charleston, I mean, everybody in the world goes to Charleston for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean, it's like a travel place. And then we had it for that, so we went to Florida where we are now, and that with the studio here and everything. And I mean, people down here are just, yes, it is a transient in a sense because you have all the people you have, what do they call them? Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. They're like people that only come down for their winter. When they have their winter wherever they are, Wisconsin or any other of those northern countries, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, whatever, they come to Florida and they rent a place here, or they own a house here, a small house here. And then they go back when it's summer there. So they're snowbirds.
Nope. Yep.
Snowbirds, they call them. And they go back and forth in that all the time. So that's the kind of people that you deal with here. However, if you do, the people that I deal with and that are all Floridians, they were real ones. They were born here, one of those kind of things. They like to talk to me a lot because the things that I talk to and the things that I say and the way that I go through things are way different than they do. because they are way slower than we are. Serious. I mean, it's like really like you're very well. Maybe it's what we do, but I mean, it's like when we're talking to them directly. We're not talking around circles or anything else. So it's more or less, we take each one of those persons and make a person out of them. It's not like the guy walking across the street. You say, "Hey, move over," or something like that. You say, they down here they say, "Excuse me," or,
Oh,
or they hold the door instead of smashing it on you. The only thing they can't do down here is they can't drive. Nobody. I mean, it's terrible. It is so bad. It isn't funny. They'll run over you first, and then they go, "Oh, so I'm sorry."
you say I'm not going to be the rightest person in the cemetery. Like, man. If there's a green, I look both ways, and if there's traffic coming, I'll freaking stop. I will not just. I have the right of way. I'm like, yeah, well, that would be lovely, but you'd be the rightest person dead. I'm like, I'm not that ignorant. I'm a little, but when we can do the best we can, but make those sound decisions, whatever feels right for us, it'll take us a lot of times that a lot of us as humans in this case, will feel like we're surviving life, not living it. And then we just exist and not live. And that's when the kind of
Yeah.
flies.
I always say to people, I'm going to get one of those yellow vests and a white flag if I'm going to walk anywhere. It's kind of crazy. But hey, where can people get in touch with you? Come on.
Yeah, give me a ringy ding at jamieclark.net is the website that I'm on, and you can check it out. I have all the information. I'm doing a lot of public presentations. I just did another one recently up here, which was beautiful, phenomenal validations, great crying and laughter and fun. And it's beautiful to make these connections because, Bob, I think, like I do, part of our job, the fun is, one, to be able to do this together, two, to show people that everyone has the ability to do this. Do they want to or not? It's up to them. They're not made to, they're allowed to.
Plus, when they're with you too, and that they have to belong to the group. They are not singular. They are with the group. And if the group has a great time, oh man, you walk away from there feeling so good.
You allow yourself to feel that connection of good, great, of fun, of happy, of loved, not the survival, the living. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and by the way, and if anybody else wants to, just write to Bob Charles Show at live.com. Bob Charles Show at live.com. I will get you in touch with Jamie, and I will give you his numbers and all the rest of the stuff that you need to get in touch with him so that you could be taken care of. And let me tell you something. I've been doing this with this guy for like a long time. And I feel great every time that we're done with a show because we know each other to that point that the energies touch each other. We know what's going on. He could probably tell me more about me than I know about me right now, too. But on the other hand, and that these are things that he can share with you if you personally get in touch with him. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back here at this show again. And if you call up by calling 609-663-0153, you can actually get on the show with him one-on-one, personally, and let him read you on the show. Isn't it be great? 6 o'clock at the night, New York time. So wherever you are in the country, figure it out. I'm going to figure it out for you. Yeah, I'm going to figure it out for you. Like 4 hours ago, it'd be California, but I don't want anybody from California, really, unless you're really serious.
Well, and that's the point. You have people that can tune in to the shows on many different time frames, time zones.
Anytime. We're on. If you go and you put in Pyramid One Radio or Pyramid One Network on YouTube or Rumble, you can get thousands of shows that go back and back and back. You just pick the show that you want to see, or the person that you want to see, or the guest that you want to see, and go and see it and go listen to it. Plug it in, like put it on your cell phone, plug it into your car, and do what I do. I mean, that's how I learn. I go back to old shows and find out what we talked about then and try to make it relative to what we're talking about now. What is the difference between then and now? Even though dimensions are now, all of them. It's like taking a bunch of dominoes and like just hitting them. That's how dominoes work. That's how dimensions work. They just smash into each other.
Yep. Blending, unified, oneness.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And always good, brother. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of love.
We always have a good time, all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Clark. You definitely have to, like I told you, go to jamieclark.net and learn more. God bless y'all. Bob Charles.